Hello everyone, and thank you very much, Shannon, for the great introduction. And I'm actually not only just predicting the future, I'm actually dialing in from the future, because where I am, it's already September 7th. So here you are. I'm going to talk to you today about the amazing future that's ahead of us and how to achieve a data-driven culture within your organization. As you already mentioned, I'm a strategic futurist. I've written a few books. I have a digital twin. I live and breathe anything digital, and I'm going to talk you through some exciting stories today. Because what I think is that the future of retail is very much so data-driven. And I want to share with you how to embrace this data-driven perspective within your organization to really embed it within your DNA. Because I really believe that we are living in exponential times at the moment. And the world is changing so fast at the moment. You know, ever since the rise of ChatGPT, it seems that the world is changing on a daily basis. And therefore, it's very much important to stay awake and to understand what is happening and how all these technologies are changing your organization. Because these new technologies are really driving a disruption at all fields, for all industries, for all organizations, for all job levels. And I think that's really important to be aware of. Here's some examples of some trends from Gartner, which obviously every year predicts which trends are going to be hot and which trends are not going to be so hot. But one thing that all these trends have in common is that they all create data. And as Peter Norvig, Director of Research of Google, once said, we don't have better algorithms, we just have more data. But more data beats clever algorithms, but better data beats more data. So what it really comes down to is that we need to have a lot of data, but we also need to have high quality data. And if you have those two combined, then as an organization, as Walmart, you have a chance to really bring this to the limelight and really create really cool applications for your customers. And I believe that every organization is a data organization, and that's a fundamentally different perspective. I believe that Walmart is a data organization that happens to sell products in stores, but you are a data organization. And if every organization is a data organization, then every industry is a data network. And this is a different perspective of how to look at your organization. And I only want to look at one example within retail, Alibaba, who is sort of really living and breathing this paradigm. Because every year they have Alibaba Singles Day, and in November 11th in 2021, they did 583,000 transactions per second. $84 billion in revenue in one single day. And that's only possible because of their data-driven culture, and they live and breathe data and it's as part of their DNA. So for Walmart, if you want to innovate in today's world, I think that really requires a different mindset. It requires a data-driven mindset. And that requires for you to rethink all your processes and all your customer touchpoints to understand where can you use this data, how can you embed this data within your organization, how do you ensure that you collect the right data, the high quality data, and how can you access the data in the right way. Because we have to put the data to work. We have to embed smartness within our processes in order to become this data-driven organization. Which I think also requires an up-to-date knowledge of how the world is changing at all levels within the organization. Because as I mentioned before, we live in exponential times and the world is changing faster than ever before. In order to have that knowledge, you want to do something with the data, and that requires a very strong data foundation and data strategy within the organization. And that applies for all levels within the organization, and it really also means that you really have to also have very strong digital leadership. Leadership from the top all the way through the organization, and I'll get back to that towards the end of my presentation. But if we want to really start embracing data, it also means that we have to cut away the silos within an organization. We have to embrace the large language models that have really taken the world by storm nowadays. And if you want to use a large language model, whatever model it is, because there are quite a few out there nowadays, it also means that you need to clean up your data, you need to bring it into a data lake, and you need to be able to access that data for everyone. So that requires having the right data quality, security and privacy measures in place. It requires having the right data control and access policies in place. And it requires, of course, to have a shared standards and infrastructure. I think these large language models, which we now see happening and being implemented at large organizations around the world, are really a paradigm shift. because it allows organizations to all of a sudden access all this data, to query this data, to question this data, to have a dialogue with the data, and to come up with all kinds of new services that were previously not possible. And I think one really cool example of this is McKinsey. You know, obviously the famous strategy consultant, they recently introduced Lily. Lily is their large language model, and it's named after the first female employee that ever worked for McKinsey. And Lily is basically a large language model that has been trained on all the data that McKinsey has collected in the past 50, 70 years, ever since the start of the organization. And this allows McKinsey consultants as well as associates to query this data, to understand any product, any process, any assignment that they have ever done in the past 70 years, and to instantly get a reply from Lily, and to be able to fast track the work that they do. I think this is a fantastic example of how fast the world has changed, because this would not have been possible only a year ago. Nowadays, we have these large language models that are being pushed by big tech as proprietary models, but also open source models that organizations can use. But if you want to use these models, it's very important to have your data in order, as McKinsey has, because they were able to pull this together with only a few months of hard work. So if the foundation is in order within your organization, great things can happen, but only then. Because if you don't have your data in order, if you don't have your data governance in order, if you don't have your data quality in order, if the organization is not data literate, it becomes very, very hard to embrace all these new technologies. And you want to embrace these new technologies because the world is going through a digital renaissance. Where the original renaissance took 100, 200 years, this digital renaissance might only take 2 to 3 years or maybe a few years longer. That's how fast things are changing at the moment. And I want to cover in this presentation three mega trends that will change retail. These are generative AI, which will change how we shop. These are the Metaverse, which will change what we shop. And these are digital twins, which will change how we run our shop. So I'm going to briefly touch upon each of these trends to give you an indication of how these mega trends are changing Walmart, and what you can do to embrace these technologies and to serve, to improve your customer service, to improve your internal processes, and eventually deliver a better product to your customers. So let's first start with generative AI, the one that has been a massive hype since November when ChatGPT was launched. Let's first watch a short video.
As I speak, so it becomes. Words become incantations. AI art unleashes a new marriage, a new coupling of biological and digital technology, whereby, as I imagine, so it becomes.
So what Jason Silva really does here is, I think, quite astonishing. He created this video using generative AI, using tools such as Midjourney to really have this conversational story about generative AI. And what he says, as I imagined, so it becomes. That I fundamentally believe in as well. Because now these technologies, this generative AI, is democratizing creativity, is bringing creativity to every levels within society and every levels within an organization. It's very much important to be aware of that the generative landscape has exploded in the past year, and is a lot more than text. We might think that generative AI is ChatGPT, but generative AI is a lot more than that. It basically means the ability to create synthetic content, whether it's text, code, or images, or videos, or entire 3D worlds, using natural language. And I think that is an amazing ability that we now have, that we can almost just like talk to our computer and we can create. And the large language models are very much the next hype for venture capital firms. In the past couple of months, we have seen some amazing deals taking place. For example, the 4-week-old AI startup Mistral, which raised 105 million euros with no product and only 4 employees, and only being 4 weeks old. Or Adapt raising 350 million to build AI that learns how to use software for you, or Inflection, which raised $1.3 million after only being a year old. And these startups are really building the next iteration, the next large language models that we can use personally in your personal life or as an organization. And generative AI can really create a lot of things. I already alluded to this. It can help us to create text and code. You have Copilot in GitHub. You have ChatGPT, obviously. It can help us to create audio, images, assets, worlds, all kinds of things that we need when we transition to this immersive world. The immersive internet, the Metaverse, which I will talk about in a few minutes, we can use generative AI to fast track and kickstart the Metaverse. So I'm going to briefly touch upon these different items that we can create with generative AI to really give you an idea of what is possible. First of all, text. I just wrote a book in 1 week with ChatGPT, and I actually dare to say that I was the first person in the world ever to publish a book with ChatGPT, because my book came out only 5 days after ChatGPT came out. And for me, that was really an opportunity to test drive off-the-shelf AI, to see how far technology is coming and what is possible with off-the-shelf technologies. And just a brief insights of how I did this. So what I did is I asked ChatGPT which technologies are going to change our society in the next 50 years. It came back with a list of technologies. I then asked, okay, for each technology, which question do I need to ask? And it gave me a list of 24 questions. And for each technology, I went through these questions, had a conversation, and the answers I copy-pasted into the manuscript. I didn't change a thing. The only thing that I changed when I noticed that ChatGPT was hallucinating. Because I quickly figured out that when it said that robotics and AI converged in the 1980s to create self-driving cars, I thought, I only wish that would have been the case. Once I finished the book, I edited it with Grammarly, another AI tool that we can use to improve our work. Once I'd done that, I asked it to come up with a title. It came up with future visions. I asked it to come up with a subtitle. I asked it to come up with a description for the cover of my book, which I used Stability AI to create the image that you see. And when that all was done, I asked it to write a review for the book. And it came back with a glowing review. So quite amazing what you can do nowadays with these tools. And since then, I've actually created an entire masterclass with generative AI, where my voice is cloned, the script is written by AI, the slides are co-produced with generative AI. So really the whole process, and the only thing a human did was the editor who stitched it all together. Quite amazing what is possible nowadays. And you might think that ChatGPT is the only large language model that people are using, but in fact it's not. There are quite a few large language models already that you can use for personal use or for company use. You have Anthropic, which is creating Claude or Claude 2 nowadays, which is only available at the moment in the US or the UK, which is quite an amazing tool, I must say. We have BART that is created by Google. We have Pi, which is created by Inflection, which is very much a personal and friendly and fun AI where you can have really casual conversations. And of course, we have Llama 2, which is created by Meta. For all of these large language models, apart from maybe an open source model that you run on your own services, it's very, very important to be aware that don't put any confidential information in it. In terms of data literacy, this is one of the key lessons I think with large language models. Don't put your source code in there. Don't put any proprietary information in there, because it will all go to big tech. Obviously, there are now new tools available, so you can have your OpenAI Azure cloud, or you can have it on your Claude on AWS, which allows you to keep your data within you. But it's important to be aware of that. If you use any of the open tools, any data that you put in will go to big tech. So be careful with that.
You're a memory from the past. So without further ado, my friend who is difficult to describe and wonderful, and I'm so grateful he came on the show.
How's it going? Good to see you, buddy. It's been a long time since I've been on the show. I've missed this. It's always fun.
So what you just heard was Joe Rogan interviewing Steve Jobs. Pretty amazing, isn't it? So this was done about half a year ago, I think, where what you heard was all AI. So they cloned the voice of Joe Rogan, they cloned the voice of Steve Jobs, and they had both AIs, they created for each an AI, and they had the AIs have a conversation with each other. If you listen to it, it's available on podcast.ai. If you listen to this, within half a minute, I think, you forget that you are listening to an AI. And you think that you're actually listening to the real Steve Jobs, which obviously is not possible because Joe Rogan could have never interviewed Steve Jobs about the recent topics. But it's very amazing that nowadays this is possible. You can clone your voice and you only need like 3 seconds of your audio in order to do that. So it gives you amazing possibilities, and I actually have done it myself. So you might have seen at the start my digital twin, and I use the digital twin to, I said, for my masterclass or for all other cool things. And it also allows me to speak 8 different languages.
Hi, I am Mark's digital twin. His digital alter ego that can perform anywhere in any language. Als Weltbürger spreche ich viele verschiedene sprachen بأعتبري عالماً مستقبلياً. أساعد المؤسسات على فهم التقنيات الناشئة. J'aide les grandes entreprises a se preparer a um avenir numérique e a rester competitivo. Acredito que o ingrediente secreto para a transformação digital é se todos os funcionários compreenderem como o mundo está mudando. क्योंकि दुनिया इतनी तेजी से बदल रही है, हमें हर स्तर पर शिक्षा की आवश्यकता है. Perché senza saggezza, senza una comprensione profonda e globale degli strumenti digitali avanzati, potremmo sterminare in un futuro digital distopico. So let's embrace education and make sure everyone understands how digital technologies affect their lives.
So I find this truly mind-blowing as a futurist, that I could create this, and it only took me 5 minutes to create. I cloned my voice. I used a tool called 11 Labs to clone my voice. I used Google Translate to translate the different text to different languages. I put it all together, and I used a tool called HeyGen to automate my digital twin. Literally 5 minutes of my time it took to build this, and that's possible today. So imagine what can be possible in 2 to 3 years from now. You can have personalized shop assistants who can talk any language and help your customers in any language that works for them. Truly mind-blowing technology. So if you then move from, after audio, we move to images. You can now create very detailed and realistic images, for example, for your marketing purposes. You might have seen that a lot of the images that I use in my presentation, they are all AI generated. They're all created with a tool called Midjourney. Midjourney is a tool that allows you to create any image just with a prompt, just with natural language. And there are agencies and around the world who now start to use this tool to create marketing messages, and which speeds up the process of creating marketing messages. And we can also start to create telling stories with the same thing, the same tool called Midjourney Zoom in this case. Midjourney Zoom allows you to really almost indefinitely zoom out on a story. Not sure how relevant it is for marketing campaigns or whatsoever, but it is pretty amazing technology, and it's only the start of this. What we also see happening, which is relevant for the metaverse, which I'll talk about in a second, is that we can now move from 2D to 3D in a matter of seconds. So we can start to talk what we want to see, and it is being built right in front of our eyes. So we don't have to have the knowledge anymore of a game engine, or we don't have the knowledge of coding anymore. We can literally just talk to the computer, and the world that we want to envision just appears right in front of us. Again, another technology that is pretty mind-blowing of what is possible nowadays. So we are moving to a world, to an internet where we are now able to interact with the internet with our voice. Yes, we're still typing most of the time at the moment, but it's just a matter of time before we can ditch the typing and we can start speaking to our computer. And then we can just have a conversation with our computer, and whatever we want to create, being text or images or code or entire 3D worlds, will appear in front of us. So with generative search, we can actually do really cool things. So this is an example of where you can talk to ChatGPT. You can say, hey, look, I've got chicken and I've got tomato and parmesan in my fridge. What can I create with this? And ChatGPT comes up with a recipe, and it comes up with the ingredients that you might miss. And it can then, with the click of a button, create a list within Instacart. And within Instacart, you just only have to press the button order, and before you know it, your order is being delivered to your home. A fantastic tool to really help people move about differently with the ingredients they have in the house. And it also creates a different experience for your customers if they could use this within the Walmart application as well. This sort of shows you that if you have your data in order, if you have the foundation in order, you can really quickly move about creating fantastic applications such as Instacart's ChatGPT application. So I want to switch gears a little bit because where generative AI really helps us create sort of the next iteration of the internet, it is also important to understand what that next iteration of the internet will be, obviously, and how it will affect Walmart in how people shop and what people shop and where people shop. So let's quickly dive into the next iteration of the internet. Because I believe that the convergence of two worlds, in this case generative AI and the metaverse, really will deliver a magical experience, where all of a sudden we have this immersive world where you can interact with in completely novel ways. But before the magic arrives, the next big thing often starts off looking like a toy, as the late Clay Christensen said in his book Disruption Theory. And this is so true for the metaverse, because if you look at the metaverse today, I must say it doesn't really look very, very magical. What you see here is an online shop from JP Morgan in Decentraland, and there's not much happening. And a lot of people actually think that the metaverse is no longer happening because the media has moved on from the metaverse to generative AI. But in fact, I think that the metaverse is very much happening, and I will tell you why. Because what we're going to see is that in the next couple of years, we are really moving to a magical experience. And as the famous Arthur C. Clarke said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And that will very much apply for the metaverse. Because the metaverse will usher in a new way of socializing, a new way of working, a new way of learning, a new way of shopping, of buying things for the real world as well as for the virtual world. But for the metaverse to understand, it's very much like social media. You have to immerse yourself in it to understand it. And that means that organizations should not make the same mistake as many organizations did when the internet arrived. The internet is just a fad, we don't have to do anything about it. Or we don't have to do anything with mobile media because it's just a fad. The metaverse is here and it's going to have a major impact on everything that we do in our lives. And I can guarantee you we are in for a wild ride. But let's first get some myths out of the way, because there's a lot of confusion on what the metaverse is as well. Because I believe that the metaverse is not gaming. The metaverse is not virtual reality. And the metaverse is not Web3. However, it can be all of the above. And then that, I think, is really important to be aware of. So my definition of the metaverse is where the physical and the digital worlds converge in so-called phygital experience, augmenting both the virtual and the physical worlds. Now, there's a lot of information in that short sentence, so let's unpack this a little bit. First, let's start with where the physical moves into the digital world. This very much is where you all of a sudden are able to interact in a virtual environment. And what we do at the moment, where we have people gathering from all around the world, everyone physically present in their own location, but we gather digitally, is, I think, part of the metaverse. It's a very early stage of the metaverse, but it is part of the metaverse. But it also is when we create a digital twin of a physical asset and bring it into the digital world so we can interact with it. And I'll get back to that in a second. The other side is where the digital moves into the physical world. And this is very much augmented reality. And the video that you see here is of course the first major application in the world which really brought augmented reality to the limelight. Pokemon Go had like hundreds of millions of users around the world. And I believe that with augmented reality, we can create this new layer on top of the reality. And this can be a layer for entertainment, or it can be a layer for work, or even for shopping, where you provide an additional information personalized to the user, to the shopper, when he or she is in the Walmart store. And the metaverse, yes, a lot of things people think it is virtual reality or it is augmented reality, but these are just the channels to enter the metaverse. And you can still enter the metaverse on your phone, on your smartwatch, on your computer, and that's all also ways to access the metaverse. So it's not necessarily a purely immersive environment. It can also happen on the existing sort of 2D screens. But where the physical and the digital worlds are converging, we create this phygital environment. And I know it's not the most beautiful word, fortunately I didn't coin it, but this phygital environment is really an endless blue ocean. An endless blue ocean which will be worth trillions of dollars in the next decade. There are reports of 10 to 13, 15 trillion dollars. Personally, I think it will actually be more, just looking at the impact the internet had on our lives. And by 2030, among others, thanks to generative AI, the internet will transform from 2D experiences to hyper-realistic 3D interactive experiences, where you can be embedded and within the internet, and the internet becomes as pervasive as the air we breathe. We will be in the internet. So instead of having to make a conscious decision to grab your phone, to go on the internet, we will constantly and always be connected to the internet. And that will fundamentally shift how our society runs. And what does it mean for Walmart? Well, I think for Walmart it means that the metaverse will change the retail industry in two fundamental ways: commerce and experience. There's several other ways, but I think these two are the most important to focus now for Walmart and to help you understand how retail will change in the coming years. First, let's start with commerce. Because in the metaverse, we have avatars. And avatars are your digital representation, just like my digital twin that you've seen. But an avatar, just like humans, are born naked, which really results in the rise of an entire new industry called digital fashion. And already, digital fashion is $1 billion industry. And what this means, these are clothes from very haute couture to quite normal standard fashion, which only exist in the digital realm. But once you have these clothes in the digital realm, all of a sudden you can do really cool things with it. You can have clothes that are made out of, I don't know, liquid metal. Or you can have a golden dress that changes based on the weather. And when it starts to rain outside, the dress turns gray. You can do really cool things with it. And people are actually going crazy about this. This is already from about 1.5 years ago, but Dolce & Gabbana sold this digital fashion, this virtual suit, for $1 million. Quite amazing if you think about it. An item that only exists in the digital realm sold for $1 million. Or what about this purse? A purse that was sold on the platform Roblox. For those who have children, you might be familiar with this platform, sort of a gaming environment where kids can create games. And Gucci sort of advertised here and sold this purse for more than the purse would cost in a real life. So here you have a digital item, which is quite pixelated, nothing hyper-realistic. It's not even a non-fungible token that you might have heard about. So it has literally zero worth outside Roblox. Yet it's worth more than the physical item. Quite extraordinary. This was obviously about 1.5 years ago when there was a massive hype in NFTs, but it sort of shows you that the world is changing and that people are looking for a different way to consume products. And I therefore think that the metaverse will usher in a new form of commerce. And we move away from e-commerce to a new form called what I call immersive commerce, which I think will be worth billions of dollars in the years to come and could potentially outgrow e-commerce. And e-commerce really consists of two forms of commerce. First, we have the direct to avatar. These are the digital fashion items or the wearables which are sold as NFTs using crypto. So purely digital items for which you pay using cryptocurrency. And then you have the direct to physical, which are physical items sold in an immersive environment, paid for either with crypto or with fiat currency. So this can be, for example, a t-shirt that you buy and you receive the physical t-shirt drop shipped at home, and your avatar receive an identical virtual t-shirt that your avatar can wear in the virtual world. Two completely new forms of commerce that will have a major impact on society. So my question for Walmart is, how can Walmart facilitate e-commerce and potentially even sell NFTs and digital products that your customers might really, really want to have? Something to ponder about. The next one that I want to talk about is experience, because the metaverse will usher in also a new way how to interact with your customers, how to interact with your employees, also with your future employees. Because especially Generation Z, those born after 95, or Generation Alpha, those born after 2010, they are the metaverse natives. They expect a different relationship when they deal with the brand. They expect an experience because that's what they've always have had since they encountered the internet. And what they want is they really want to have a unique experience. And I think this video clearly shows what is possible. What you see here is a video of where they turned blockies, as they called, into a live NFL wildcard game. So when this NFL game happened, people could tune into a blocky game which mimicked exactly what happened in the real world. So all the touches, all the passes, everything that you see happening on the screen happened in real time in the real world. Quite a unique experience, I think, of what is possible and what is to come. And for Generation Z, they have a different perspective to life as well, because for their digital identity is as important as their real identity. So let that sink in. For 50% of Gen Z, their digital identity is as important as their physical identity. And I probably think that for Generation Alpha, this number will probably be a lot higher. And that's very much due to the fact that the older we get, the more difficult it is for us to interact with technology. And as the famous Douglas Adams once said, is that anything that's in the world when you are born is normal and ordinary, and is just a natural part of how the world works. Anything that's invented between you are 15 and 35 means that it's new, but exciting and revolutionary, and you probably can get a career in it. But anything invented after you're 35 is against the natural order of things. And mind you, I'm 40, so this very much applies to me as well. But if you want to connect with Generation Z and Generation Alpha, you have to be that experience. And a great example here is Forever 21. They created Shop City. Shop City is a virtual environment on Roblox where children could run their own retail store, could create and design their own clothes, and could sell those clothes in their own retail store. And for Forever 21, this was a fantastic marketing campaign, first of all, and second of all, it was free R&D, because they learned exactly what the kids who created the designs liked most, and they could adapt that to sell their own clothes. Fantastic example of an experience that can directly benefit your organization if your foundation, your data foundation, is in order. So when you want to enter the metaverse, it's important to be unique and don't copy reality. And a well-known example within the metaverse space is Samsung's 837 store, which is the physical store in New York is amazing. But what they did in the metaverse is they recreated an exact digital copy of this store called H37X in Decentraland, which I think is a very much a wasted opportunity, because in the metaverse the laws of physics do not apply. So you can be completely creative. You have a blank canvas that you can start on, and that's something to take into account when you want to step into the metaverse. So for Walmart, if you want to really embrace the metaverse from a marketing perspective, I think it's important to rethink your role as a brand owner. You have to create these very unique virtual experiences with very low entry barriers. So make them available on smartphones and not just on VR. You have to connect and participate with the customers where they are and try not to copy the physical reality. And try to celebrate, because that's what the next generations are all about. Create gamified rewards, use virtual goods, NFTs, to really celebrate your consumers. And if you want to connect with Gen Z and Gen Alpha, you have to be where they are. And that's not on Facebook, that's not on Twitter or X nowadays, but that's on these immersive platforms like Roblox, Decentraland, or GatherTown. Now, I want to switch gears a little bit, because I want to talk about digital twins. And digital twins are, as I already briefly mentioned at the start, an exact digital replica of a physical asset. Whether this is a physical asset of a product but also a physical asset of an entire store, an entire factory, a system, or even systems of systems. And the moment you have these digital twins and you can interact with it in a virtual world, in a digital world, it allows you to optimize everything. And it allows you to optimize things in a very efficient way, because you can simulate things in the virtual world first. So what is a digital twin? In the short definition, it is an ever-evolving digital profile of historical and real-time behavior of a physical object or process that can be explored in the virtual world to optimize business performance. So digital twins really simulate complicated processes for their physical counterpart and interact with that to better predict future outcomes. So it allows you to analyze a digital version of, for example, a Walmart store, to run all kinds of simulations, to understand what's happening, and the better and more detailed your digital twin is, the better the outcome and the results are for you. And you create sort of this physical, digital to physical loop. And where you have sensors within the Walmart store or within the Walmart warehouse that collect the data. Again, you have to have your foundation in order to do that, which are then analyzed to provide insights to actuators that can act accordingly. So it allows you to interact with this physical world in a way that's very novel. It's also known as sort of the enterprise metaverse, where organizations are really embracing this to make this possible. So if you want to create a digital twin, you start with the basis, which means adding a myriad of sensors to a physical device or process, and to collect vast amounts of data to store this in the right way, because only if you have the data can you interact with it. It will then allow you to have real-time communication, whether it's one-way or two-way, to interact with it, and you can process that data for insights. But the data has to be of high quality if you want to do that. And if you have the data, you can analyze it, you can visualize it, and you can then develop machine learning models on top of that in order to generate insights from which you can act upon. So you can act according to those insights, and if you are the most advanced level of digital twin, you can actually make changes in the virtual world which reflect in the physical world. These are sort of these levels of digital twins are appearing, where there are, especially in China, there are so-called dark factories, where these dark factories are completely run through a digital system. So digital twins for Walmart, they are very much like integrated solutions of a real-life system of your entire warehouse, of your entire Walmart store, or maybe even from all your stores. And therefore, the better the digital twin, the more data it needs, the more insights you can get out of it. From many different sources, both internal data from the Walmart store, but also external data that can be relevant, for example, data from social media. And to exchange this data in a two-way so you can actually do something with it, and you just don't, you're not only getting the insights from it. As I mentioned, there are different levels of integration for a digital twin, where you start from no data exchange to a sort of a digital shadow, where you have a one-way data flow, where you sort of see what's happening but you can't make any changes, to a truly digital twin, where you have data flows between the physical and the digital asset in both ways, so you can actually interact with it. And if you want to incorporate digital twins within your organization, there are 5 capabilities which I think are important to be aware of. As I said, there's a real-time connection between virtual and physical world. It connects with multiple data sources. It offers real-time dashboards. It's modeled and analyzed using machine learning models. And very importantly, the data is secure. Because if you have, of course, a digital twin of your entire Walmart store or your warehouse, you want to make sure that this data is secure and it can't be hacked. And if it is hacked, that it is encrypted and it is safe, and it can't nefarious actors can't do anything with it. And a fantastic example is a very old, until quite recently, very traditional German organization called Käse Compressors. Käse Compressors is a German organization over 100 years old that sells these machines, these very big machines for warehouses, among others, to sort of clean the air and to purify the air. What they used to do was to sell these products at a high cost, and then when you ordered one, they would deliver it, they would install it, and they would leave. If the machine would break down, you would call them, they would send someone to fix it, and they would send you an invoice afterwards. A few years ago, they decided to completely change their process, and they created what now calls air as a service. So they make money by selling air. It's pretty amazing. What they do is they install this machine for free. They have all kinds of sensors. They have a digital twin of the machine. They use that data to predict when the machine is about to break down. They will send someone before it breaks down so that it doesn't break down, because Käse Compressors is being paid by cubic air consumed. So they have an incentive to keep it running all the time. A really cool example of how you can use digital twins to move from a product to a service. So Digital twins really bring significant optimization, reduced cost, a continued operation, and I think are really part of the bionic organization. The next level of organization where humans and machines are collaborating seamlessly with each other. And the combination of generative AI, the metaverse, and digital twins is what I believe the organization of tomorrow. So what does this all mean from a data perspective? So slowly closing off. It means that Walmart might need to reimagine your technology function, because all of a sudden what you want is you want to have foundation in order so you can build all kinds of cool new technologies on top of that. You want to take advantage of existing services, or in this case also adapt maybe open source models where you have more flexibility and you can be more certain that the data is yours and doesn't belong to someone else. You might want to upgrade your enterprise technology to really integrate and manage all these AI machine learning models and to prepare for the metaverse, which will require a lot more data than you might have been used to. And I know that Walmart already did big data before big data was a term, but I think with the move to an immersive internet, that data will grow exponentially. So you want to have the data architecture to enable access to high quality data and to power your LLMs to have this dialogue and to offer new services to your employees and to your customers. To create centralized cross-functional teams for AI, the metaverse and digital twins who have all access to the same data using data lakes so that you remove the silos and have this generative approach for your organization. And of course, with the world changing so fast, literally almost on a daily basis, it's important to invest in upskilling key roles to educate all levels within the organization. And that of course also brings to evaluate and mitigate any new risks that come with generative AI and the metaverse and digital twins, because they will have a big impact on your organization. And if you want to achieve this, it all starts with strong digital leadership. Because without strong digital leadership who fundamentally understand how the landscape is changing, it will be very difficult to move to the organization tomorrow to embrace these new technologies that are happening so fast. So you want to have a digital vision, you want to have an analytics culture, you want to have an ongoing investment in digital. But I'm sure that I don't have to be afraid that doesn't exist within Walmart. As I mentioned, you've been doing big data for as long as I can remember. So closing off. Data will change retail. That's a fact. It will fundamentally change everything that we do within retail. And therefore, a strong data foundation is really, really important. And this includes high quality data to enable fast innovation and iteration across the organization. Because without your data levels, without the foundation in order, it will be very difficult to create any new application on top of that. You want to use generative AI to wherever possible within your organization, because it will change how we shop, automating marketing by simplifying processes and allowing for a better customer experience, as we've seen from the Instacart example. The metaverse will change what we shop, creating a phygital experience for both products and customers, allowing immersive commerce to create new products such as direct to avatar or create phygital products that both appear in the physical and the digital world. And then finally, digital twins, they will change how we run our shop, how you run Walmart, by creating a digital replica of each Walmart shop and bringing the data together in one centralized platform. And that sort of brings it down to square one, where you have to have a strong data foundation that then allows you to build all these cool things on top of that. So I hope you've had a good understanding now of how important data is for every organization and therefore also for Walmart. How important it is to have high quality data and to understand how data will affect your organization. Thank you very much.